Hey guys, it's Serge again. We're throwing another full cord of firewood into the trailer here. Well, we're gonna do a half a cord. We already threw in 2 totes with the tractor. There it is there. And this is going out to Lewis Barbecue tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you stick around. See you later.
When you put one
hey guys, I started the video like mid through the loading, and I was already in the middle of talking, so hope you enjoy the video anyways. Thank you for watching.
You know that when I start cutting trees, what actually got me over my fear a lot of times is like, okay, fully expect that you may cut your rope. Just fully expect that, but take into account that you need to be safe and tie in twice. So and in tree work, if anybody does tree work, they know that you tie in twice. And I have cut my rope, I think, one time, but I barely nicked it. And now my brother Dennis, he just told me a story where he cut his rope. So yeah, it does happen. But yeah, whenever I was climbing trees, I was just always fully expecting, hey, like, don't expect to die, but take into account that you may die. You may die because of your inexperience, and that's a very harsh way to look at work if you're doing work. But what I really loved doing tree work whenever I was doing it a lot, probably more than the next guy. In fact, I would say much more than the next guy. I become a fanatic pretty easily, as you can see with this yard. But that's led me into good places, and it's led me into bad places. But that's just how I am. I've always been that way. I've always liked to, get into it, right? Just get into it. And it's always got me more work, is the thing. So yeah, maybe the best thing to expect is something out of yourself, really, in life. That way you're not disappointed. I mean, you could be disappointed in yourself, but don't make too high of expectations right off the bat. Like, I don't even expect myself to be, sometimes I don't even expect myself to meet the criteria of what I'm supposed to be splitting that week. And if it happens, it happens. If, God willing, my body can take it, then that's what happens. But there's been plenty of weeks where I've told myself, hey, if you can't.
Hey guys, doing a voiceover. Yeah, here I was talking about, like, if I didn't add up during the week of what I expected to split or whatever, it didn't mean that I wasn't meant for the job. It just means that I didn't add up for that week, if that makes sense. And that's a good mentality to have, to just, if you fail, a lot of times that'll de-stress you, that, if you expect to fail but still try, it'll de-stress you.
I began to function a lot better as you don't fully expect that much out of yourself. So if that helps you out. All right, I moved the truck so that way I could put the bucket in. But yeah, as I was saying about, like, not fully expecting that much out of yourself, I'm not saying to procrastinate and do all this nonsense that people do.
Another voiceover. Yeah, I wasn't saying to procrastinate or do a bunch of nonsense, like not expect anything out of yourself and feel like a loser, but like just don't expect that it's always gonna, there's probabilities to life. Don't expect that you're gonna succeed, but expect that you're gonna fully try to succeed, and that a lot of times will get you through much of life.
But if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. And I think some people get stuck in the place where they don't fully try at all and they don't expect anything out of themselves, or they try too hard and they stress themselves out and it seems like nothing's working. So there's definitely, like I was saying, there's definitely that middle ground where you don't fully expect yourself to actually do it, but you know you're gonna try and try to make it work. Like, and then you're never really disappointed and you're never stressed out. But you have to agree with yourself that if it doesn't work out, you're not going to be stressed out over it. Don't be a try-hard. That's a hurdle to get over. Just trying too hard. I had to get over that hurdle. That took me a good little while to understand that. Don't stress yourself out, man. I mean, imagine a guy with ulcerative colitis who has already got a bad digestive system, and then he's stressing himself out. I mean, imagine that. Imagine having to figure that out. But no, I mean, I've watched people and I've asked myself, how in the world do they do it? How do they accomplish so much, or at least it seemed to me, how do they accomplish that much at that time? And then as I learned about this, about what I just spoke about, things started to click. And the amount of work that I've been doing doesn't really seem like that much work, because I'm not stressing out over it. I'm not making it a big deal. Just don't make it a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. I've seen people come into this wood yard and they look at all the wood, oh, that's a lot of work. And I'm like thinking, yeah, that is a lot of work, but it's a lot of work that you see at one time. Doesn't mean I did all that work in a week or a month or a couple months. The best thing to do is not to compare yourself to people. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't ever compare yourself. I'm saying, I mean, in the Bible it says you should never, but I think. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But also, it helps not to look at where the grass is greener. If you look at where the grass is greener, or where it seems to be greener way too often, you might end up making that your own stumbling block, and you might just get in your own way. People don't really have it much better than you. Like me, myself, I look at people when they think about what I'm doing here, and I'm like, and they're like, oh, that's great, that's inspiring, and I mean, and it might be, you know, but my life really isn't that much greater than any other regular Joe. I just found out a few things, and the thing is like, those people, they could find out the same thing. There's something that's in their path that's not allowing them, and they know what it is, and they won't tell you what it is, and they won't tell anybody what it is. And I mean, everybody has this. If it's not in work, then it's somewhere else, like church, or it's people, they've always got something that they're working on, and which is not a bad thing, as long as they're working on it, myself included. But I mean, everybody's got hurdles that is preventing them from doing something. So yeah, it's just like, if it's hilarious. It's like that old saying, if it's not one thing, then it's another. But it doesn't have to be. I would argue that it doesn't have to be one thing or another. I would argue that it could just be, hey, it was that one thing and I got over that one thing, and now I'm kind of sitting waiting for what's the next big obstacle in my perception that I got to get over. And if you let people know that kind of stuff, they might try to create your obstacle for you, which is not really that great, which I've noticed in life. That's like, oh, well, you want trouble, okay, well, I'll give you some trouble. And most people's mentalities are kind of like that, which is sad to see, and I'm sorry to see that. That's why that's why a lot of people avoid talking about themselves, but because nobody wants to share and feel vulnerable talking about what on earth is going on in their life. And I mean, you really have to trust people enough for them not to mess with you. And see, that's one of those things. It's one of those things where, and most people, they won't share what's in their life. That's why there's not a lot of, I don't know, worldly success, you could call it, which, I mean, in the Bible says it's additional to your faith. And people sit there and they wonder, why in the world am I not, why is it not working out for me? And, you know, I can't give you that answer.
Hey guys, kind of want to interject here because you couldn't hear me, but I was talking about whenever you can't understand why things are not happening for you, and I can't give you the answer, but a lot of times in my life, it was because I became humble to the circumstance and forgot about my ego, and that helped me out a lot, and a lot of things were given to me. Now that's just a hurdle for people to get over, including myself, and I still do need to get over hurdles sometimes, but yeah, anyways.
I've got everything handled, right? I mean, has nothing to do with that. Now you could lie to yourself and you could make yourself believe that. Make yourself believe that you were all that you had it handled, and I've lied to myself. I mean, but really it's God. That's where it is. But yeah, that's been a stumbling block of mine. But really, if you always say that God is carrying you, which he always is at all times, if you let him, then you stay humble and you stay meek in front of people. And you know, I wouldn't say like meek the whole time, because I've been bold in the past, and maybe not sure if that's gotten me in trouble or not. I can't really recall, but yeah, it's one of those things in life where if you got to find your problem. Like, what's your, you know, like, I'm not saying, oh, you have a problem. I'm just saying, like, everybody has something. Like, so what's your problem? And if it's bothering you enough, then do something about it. Don't just sit there and let things pass you by. Like, I've been one to watch a lot of things pass me by, and to this day I still watch things as they occur, because I'm just an observant fella. I don't try to, like, every time I try to move too fast, I end up messing it up. So, and that's something that I had to learn as a young guy, that, like, and I am, you know, still young, so I do understand, like, this kind of stuff where it's just like, if you move too quickly, you're bound to mess it up, man. It's called impulsivity. If you're too impulsive, you're gonna mess stuff up, you're gonna break things. But like, I don't want to say that go out and do that, but that's honestly, that's a part of the fun sometimes, and like you can't avoid it sometimes because we're human. So it's fun to look back at those times and say, hey, like, that wasn't right, that wasn't the best way I could have done that or accomplished that, but hey, I learned a little bit out of that anyway. Right? What, it's not like it's a worthless endeavor if you did mess up. A lot of times your mistakes, they'll be the things that help you kind of progress. So that's the interesting thing about not being God. If you're not God, you're always going to mess it up, and he's always going to have to keep carrying you through it. So, but he gave you a brain to learn about what you did wrong, and since he gave you that brain, he kind of gives you the obligation. I mean, if you think about it, if you really believe in him, he gives you the obligation to walk up to that fella and apologize on a personal level, or do something better with your day if you felt like you've been wasting your time, or make sure that you've accomplished enough during your day to satisfy your need to feel successful or whatever, you know. And but don't forget about God. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. He gives you the ability to feel pleasure on this life. So there's nothing wrong with success. There's just something wrong with people taking it to their head and making it number one instead of God. But anyways, as you see, the load is filled up, getting ready to deliver it for tomorrow, and hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it wasn't too long for y'all. I know that some people don't like these long videos, but I kind of like to talk sometimes. I kind of like to share. I also kind of like to share the work. So hope it helps you out with whatever is happening with you. And thank you for watching. God bless you. See you later. Bye.